Waltorch!
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm doing a guide to
Glory of the Wartorn Hero!
As you probably would have never guessed by the title. This is a meta achievement that requires you to get all the BFA dungeon achievements. It can only be done on mythic difficulty, and even if you're saved, you can still get the achievements. You will just not get the loot. If you like this content, then please consider subscribing, as I will be releasing more videos like this on a weekly basis. Keep in mind that I'm going to provide a link to each dungeon in the description below the video, so if you want to skip to a specific dungeon, you can do just that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's start with Freehold. But before you head there, make sure that you or somebody else in your group has the Hearthstone board toy. You can get it from Benjamin Broth, located in your favorite place of all time, your garrison. Both Alliance and the Horde have this NPC.
I'm in charge now.
For this achievement, simply put down your Hearthstone board before pulling the first boss, and once you pull him, Patches is gonna spawn. Defeat Patches and then defeat the boss and you shall get the achievement. Both the boss and the ad are actually callbacks to a Hearthstone game, which is where they first appeared. Pecking order. You will have to interact with 3 objects throughout the dungeon. The first one being on the left in the area where you defeat the first boss. For the second object, the food, you will have to go up 2 levels in the Rum Quarter and you will find it beside some barrels. The third object is located near the parrot, which you can access after defeating the third boss. Click on it and everybody shall get the achievement. The third achievement, that sweet booty, requires you to destroy 3 open chests that can be found at the last boss. Those are located here, here, and here. During the fight, the boss will cast Cannon Barrage on non-tanks, which they will have to direct to the open chests. After the 3 chests have been destroyed, you can kill the boss and you shall get the achievement. Shrine of the Storm, Breath of the Shrine. You will have to pick up an item at the start of the dungeon, but before you do that, make sure that you clear the way up until the third boss, leave the first boss alive, and obviously do not kill the last boss yet. Reasons for that is if you pick up the breath and then take frost damage, the breath will disappear. Also, killing the first boss will cause the breath to despawn. Once you've done that, pick up the breath from the far left corner of the first room of the dungeon and make your way to the third boss room. The 2 braziers are located on the 2 sides from the boss. Come close to them and it shall make them ignited. Once both are, you shall get the achievement. Also know that if you're not a stealth class, then coming close to one brazier will definitely aggro the boss, so just be prepared for that. Speaking of which, the Void Lies Sleeping is acquired from Lord Stormsong and requires you not to get in contact with any of the dark orbs that he summons to chase after players. Simply kite the orbs and make sure that none get into contact with any of your group members. Whenever the boss mind controls a player, make sure to switch all the DPS to that person and break him out, because he will not be able to use the orbs to free himself. Trust no one. For this achievement, I would recommend bringing the boss down to about 10% HP and then waiting for him to cast Grasp of the Sunken City. After you get out of the second phase, do not interrupt the boss and have everybody but the tank swim to the area as shown here. Touch the orb without swimming too far down, as that would kill you. Return to the platform and have somebody taunt the boss. Get the tank to touch the orb as well, and once he's back, make sure that everybody is topped off for the final push. At this part, make sure that nobody dies, as the achievement requires you to have all 5 party members afflicted with a debuff and alive at the time of the boss's death. Make sure to kill the boss while everybody is a tentacle boy, as it's been reported that doing so otherwise will cause you not to get the achievement. Simply use all your cooldowns and burst down the boss. Atal'Dazar, bringing Hexy back. To get this achievement, you are required to defeat all bosses of the dungeon while at least one member of the party is afflicted by Unstable Hex debuff, which is cast by Zanchuli Witch Doctor. Simply bring one Zanchuli Witch Doctor to each boss fight and use Long CC on her away from the area where the group is expected to do damage, as to not accidentally break it with AoE. Once the boss reaches 5 to 10% HP, break the CC on the mob and she will immediately cast Hex. Keep the debuff up on at least one player by having one DPS or healer, depending on the damage being taken by the group, stand near the person afflicted with Hex, as upon the debuff expiration, it will get transferred to anyone who stands near it. Gold Fever. Every once in a while, Priestess Alonzo will spawn blood pools, and an ad which will attempt to soak those pools. Let the first ad that spawns soak 8 pools, while killing the ones that spawn after it. Once the ad soaks 8 pools, it will transform into Fatal Corruption. Kill it, and then you can simply down the boss to get the achievement. Keep in mind that once there are no pools left, the ad will attack the group. CC to prevent excessive damage. It's lit! This one is obtained from the final boss of the dungeon. In her room you will see 4 braziers at each of the corners. Get the boss to 5 to 10% HP. Once she has 100 energy, she will cast Soul Rend on all non-tanks. Get to the 4 braziers and make sure that the debuff expires near them, which will cause the braziers to get ignited for 25 seconds. This is the time you have to kill the boss. But I would suggest that you kill the ads first, as they will cause a significant amount of damage if they reach the boss. Note that bringing Hexy back achievement is very doable with this one. You will just have to watch Hex on top of all the things going on. Of course you do not have to do both in the same run, so you can just make it easier for yourself, but it's up to you. King's Rest. It belongs in a mausoleum. Requires you to click on 4 trinkets found throughout the dungeon, the first one being right at the entrance. The second trinket is located at the stairs by the closed door, near the hallway that leads you to the first boss. Before we continue with this achievement, know that you need to get past the second boss, who has an achievement of his own, Rap God. The boss will periodically cast Entomb on a non-tank, which will cause them to get trapped in a sarcophagus and get an extra ability called Struggle. Struggle is used to shake the sarcophagus as to reveal the position of the player. To get achievement, you cannot struggle more than once. And the boss cannot finish casting his ability to open one of the tombs. It's been reported that if you struggle before the boss starts casting, then you will not get achievement, so simply wait until the boss starts casting. I would also recommend splitting the group into 2, with each one watching one of the sides, just to reduce any potential confusion. Back to the first achievement, getting the third trinket can be kind of tricky. It requires that you use Spectral Brute's Ground Crush ability, as it knocks you up. You need to get knocked up to the far left balcony where you can find the third trinket. The last trinket can be found at the top of the right pillar as you go down the stairs to the final boss. You will have to do a bit of jumping to get this one. How to keep a mummy is obtained from King Dazar and also awards you with a pet, which is a nice bonus. In the room you will see 2 sarcophagi with stone platforms in front of them. Have 2 players for each platform stand on them until lights appear all around the platform. Once the right sarcophagus shakes, it means that you have obtained the criteria to complete the achievement and you can simply defeat the boss. It is also recommended that the tank tanks the boss between the 2 sarcophagi, but it's not a requirement for the achievement. The Motherlode Pitch Invasion. For this achievement, clear your way until the first boss and then pick up an item to the right of the boss's entrance. Pull the boss and then use the item on the goblin that is located to the right of the boss's area. Focus down the ads, defeat the boss, and you shall have the achievement. Ready for rating 6. This is a personal achievement and yet another one in a series from previous expansions following a similar requirement. If you do not get this achievement, then obviously you're not ready for Old Year. You will have to dodge a number of boss's abilities. First of all, make sure projected textures is turned on in your video settings. Bring the boss down to the stairs, where you can completely negate the micro-missiles mechanic. The boss will channel a short spell and turn into the direction he will use Gatling gun in. Quickly move away from the boss's front. Make sure to burn the boss down quickly before the second phase to avoid the time where he will cast both of those spells at once. Avoid getting hit by Ground Slam's radius, and dodge the orange swirlies. Bring the boss back to the stairs when you're back in phase 1, and it's a breeze. Underrot. Tain't nobody got time for that. All Elder Liaxus or the ad's abilities, who she will spawn soon into the encounter, will apply a debuff to whoever is afflicted. To get this achievement, nobody at any point should get it. Which means that you will have to assign an interrupt rotation with your group. The ad cannot be CC'd, so you will have to either burn it fast or interrupt it while finishing off the boss if she's low enough. I would also suggest having healer or even the tank go DPS, as if executed properly, you will not take much damage anyway. Use any DPS consumables you have to increase your success chance, as this fight is mostly a DPS race. Not a fun guy. In the top left corner, you will find Musashi Take. Have tank position the boss so that he casts Shockwave on the ad, which will cause him to activate. Simply kill the ad, then the boss, and you shall have the achievement. It's been reported that sometimes after activating, Musashi Take will avoid all attacks. Simply go to the center of the room and he should teleport there soon. Sporely Alive. This one comes from the last boss and requires you not to kill or come into contact with any of the spores that appear throughout the fight. The spores can be slowed, so make use of any ranged slowing abilities. They also basically have no health, so you have to be extra careful with AoEs. Have all the players position themselves between the boss and the wall, so that whenever he targets a random player with Wild Expulsion, he will cast it at a wall, maximizing the space available. As a DPS, you can totally ignore the ads that spawn during the fight, as they're just not worth sacrificing DPS for, and the Titan Keeper shall kill them anyway. Just keep cutting the spores in a big circle around the room, and you shall get the achievement. Temple of Sethraliss, Snake Eater. For this achievement, I would strongly recommend bringing a Death Knight, as it would make it a lot easier. The egg is located on top of the giant ribcage, as shown here. You need to first reveal the egg using ground targeting AoEs or Hunter's Flare. This can be done before engaging the boss. Engage the boss, Death Grip the egg down if you have a Death Knight, and have all party members stand between the boss and the egg so it gets hit by Noxious Breath and turns green. Afterwards, have everyone between the egg and the boss again, so that the boss faces it whenever he casts Blinding Sand. Have everyone but one person look away from the boss. Now the egg should crack and a snake will spawn from it. Kill the snake, click on it, and you shall get the achievement before killing the boss. Note that this achievement is awarded to each person individually. Snake Eyes. You will have to bring the two big blue orbs to the skull door within 10 seconds of each other. Orb guardians in the room will try to steal it back. Killing the guardians will only make them respawn, so make use of any CCs that you have. Do not activate orbs before both of them are near the door. Also, it is preferred that classes with high mobility pick up the orbs. Keep in mind that even if you throw the orb to the door, you still need to carry it with your character for it to be locked in. Good night, sweet prince. Make a /kiss macro and place it somewhere on your bars. During the encounter, frogs will spawn. You need to kiss them to see if one of them is a prince. If none of the frogs transform, then simply kill them and wait for the next bunch. You will know the prince is spawned once you see a Gallowix looking fella spinning around. Finish the boss fight and you shall get the achievement. Tol Dagor, Remix to Ignition. This is an achievement you get from the third boss and requires you to move around the barrels away from the boss's abilities. She will periodically cast Ignition on the floor, which is small circles. Simply move the barrels away from them. She will turn in a random direction and start casting Cinder Flame. You will have to move the barrel away from the direction wherever the boss is facing. And finally, Fuse Lighter is a debuff applied to a random member, and if dispelled quickly enough will not do anything. Otherwise it will explode, so you will have to move away from the barrels if you get the debuff. If you are currently carrying a barrel, drop it. Shot Through the Heart is an achievement from the last boss. He will apply a debuff to each member of your party that will cause them to get stunned if they move too much. For this achievement, everybody should be stunned at once. The easiest time to do this is at the start, so just pull the boss and have everybody move around until it gets stunned. After that, simply beat the boss and you shall get the achievement. Waycrest Manor. Before you go there, make sure that you have people in your group with leatherworking, tailoring, herbalism, inscription, and cooking at least 75 skill level. Run wild like a man on fire. This is pretty much a tank achievement and requires you to keep resetting the stacks on the boss by cutting him through patches of fire. I would recommend resetting it at 8 stacks, as the patches of fire can disappear and that can cause some potential difficulties. Alchemical Romance. The last boss will periodically summon adds, and the flask will appear, which you can use to burn the corpses of the adds. Simply TPS the boss until 3 adds are up at the same time, kill them, and use 1 flask to burn the 3 of them. Keep in mind, they will sometimes jump to a party member, so just stack near the boss to make it easier. Losing my profession. Throughout this dungeon and the next one I shall be talking about, you will find items that you can click on to spawn a profession mini-boss. Defeat all of them and you shall get the achievement. The Inscription mini-boss. Governess Tabitha can be summoned by clicking a book in a bookshelf that is located on the base floor on the left from the entrance. Groundskeeper Lilith, the herbalism boss, can be summoned by clicking on this flower egg thingy in the fountain near the construct boss. Huntmaster Grath, the leatherworking boss, can be summoned by clicking on an item located on a table near a bookshelf in the hunting lodge. Seamstress Johanna, the tailoring boss, can be found on the upper level of hunting lodge. You can get there by following the path that I take. Head Vintner Justin can be found in the cellar. You can summon him by clicking on this bottle here. Continuing to Siege of Boralus, you will need a blacksmith, engineer, and alchemist of at least 75 skill level. Stand by me. Now, this achievement is from the second boss and requires you to simply keep a slow or root on the boss so that she will not cast evasive, which is pretty much Hunter's Disengage. However, at the time of making this video, this achievement seems to be bugged. You can bypass the bug by killing the cannoneer quickly and then using the cannon on the boss before she gets to cast barrage. Treshinator 3000 is an engineering boss that you can find at the start of the dungeon, as shown here. Brutic Black Anvil is a blacksmithing boss that can be found at the docks down the stairs after the second boss. Liz Vilepot, the alchemy boss, can be spawned by clicking a potion on a table near the stairs that lead you to the third boss. A Fish Out of Water is an achievement you get from the last boss and requires you to kick 15 fishes back into the water. Those fishes spawn after the boss casts Putrid Waters. Do that, then defeat the boss.